The courtroom was silent, save for the steady ticking of the clock on the wall, marking the slow, relentless passage of time. The judge, a man whose reputation for fairness and stoic demeanor was well known, sat behind the bench, his gavel resting in front of him. All eyes were on him, until a small, unassuming figure in the front row suddenly stood up. "Daddy is lying." A gasp swept through the room. Everyone turned to look at the girl. No older than 10. Her eyes wide with raw emotion. She had the face of someone who was terrified, yet determined. Her small voice shattered the stillness like a thunderclap, drawing all attention to her. The judge's stern face twitched, momentarily losing its usual composure. The defense attorney's jaw dropped, and the room, full of lawyers, reporters, and spectators, fell into complete shock. The girl took a step forward, her tiny fists clenched, her voice trembling but resolute. "He's lying about everything," she yelled again, pointing straight at her father. A man dressed in a sharp suit, sitting in the defendant's chair. He was the picture of composure, his face cold and unreadable, but something flickered behind his eyes. Panic, perhaps? What was going on? And why had this innocent girl just accused her father, in front of everyone, in the most public of ways? The judge, regaining his professional demeanor, cleared his throat and looked down at the girl, clearly taken aback. "Young lady, you will have to remain silent in this courtroom," he said, his voice steady but laced with a warning. But the girl didn't listen. She was shaking now, her words coming faster, almost desperate. He didn't tell you everything." "I know. I saw it." She turned to the room, as if the very air had turned thick with anticipation. "He's hiding something. And it's not just about the money." A murmur rose from the crowd. The media scribes furiously typed, the room buzzing with speculation. The judge's face darkened, his gavel raised. But the girl's words had already ignited a fire. What could she possibly know? What was the secret that her father had been keeping hidden? And why was she so certain it was about to destroy him? Her name was Emma. To anyone who had known her, she was the quiet girl who never caused trouble, the one who was always seen, but never truly heard. Her father, Thomas Hale, was a respected businessman, a powerful man who seemed to have it all, the perfect life, the perfect family. But Emma knew better. She had spent years in his shadow, observing, listening, always feeling like a second thought in his world. The world he showed everyone else was a facade she had started to see crack piece by piece. Her father was hiding something terrible, and now, standing in the courtroom, she had a chance, her one and only chance, to make it all stop. She knew her father wasn't the man everyone thought he was, but what would it cost her to expose the truth? It had started innocently enough. A whisper she overheard late one night when she was supposed to be asleep. Her father's voice, lower than usual, speaking to someone on the phone. His words clipped with urgency. "You know what will happen if this gets out. They'll never believe us." But it wasn't just that. It was the way her mother had been acting. Her usual warmth replaced with tension. Her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and regret. Emma had noticed her mother's quiet calls to her childhood friend, always in hushed tones, always when her father wasn't around. That's when the pieces started to fall into place. The financial reports, the secret meetings, the strange behavior, all of it pointed to one thing. Her father had been lying to the world for years, and Emma knew she couldn't stay silent anymore. Now the courtroom was in chaos. Her father's lawyers were scrambling, trying to silence her. The judge demanded order, but Emma's voice only grew louder. "You don't understand. He's not just a businessman. He's been doing things, dangerous things, with people you don't even know about." Her father's face twisted in anger, his eyes narrowing with a cold fury. He stood up from his chair, his voice cutting through the room like a blade. "Enough, Emma. Sit down." But his voice trembled, betraying the fear he tried so hard to hide. Emma couldn't stop herself. She was trembling, but something inside her had snapped. "No, I saw it. I saw him talking to them. The people he's been working with, the ones who kill people when they get in the way." The room gasped again. The mention of kill, had turned the atmosphere heavy. Like a storm on the horizon, whispers raced through the crowd. Was it true? Was Emma accusing her father of something that could ruin him? But it wasn't just the murder she was talking about, it was the other thing. The thing that had made her mother break down in tears the night before. Emma's mother stood up suddenly, her face pale, her hands shaking. "Emma, stop," she pleaded, her voice breaking. "You don't understand. It's not what you think." Emma's heart stopped. For a moment, she was paralyzed by confusion. But then the truth hit her like a freight train. Her mother knew. Her mother had been a part of it. "I know everything, Emma," her mother whispered, tears streaming down her face. He made me help him. I didn't want to, but I was scared. I was so scared. He was going to ruin us all if I didn't." The courtroom was silent. Everyone staring, not sure what to believe. Emma felt the floor beneath her tremble. This was bigger than she had imagined. Her father wasn't just hiding financial secrets. He was involved in something far darker. Something that could destroy them all. Emma's world shattered in that moment. Her mother, the one person who she thought was untouchable, was complicit in her father's lies. How could she ever trust her again? Her father, his face now a mask of fury, lunged at her, grabbing her wrist with such force that it felt like the bones might snap. "You've ruined everything, Emma," he hissed, his breath foul with anger. "You've destroyed us all." Emma pulled back, feeling the weight of the betrayal in her chest. Her mother had betrayed her, and now her father was threatening her. She was alone in a room full of people who wanted her silence. But Emma didn't back down. She pulled away from her father's grip, her voice a quiet roar in the now dead silence of the courtroom. "I will not be silent. You've lied to the world, and I'm not going to let you get away with it." She turned to the judge, her face set with determination. "I have proof," she said, her voice unwavering, "and I'm not leaving here until the truth is out." The courtroom held its breath as she pulled a manila folder from her bag and opened it to reveal a series of photographs. Images of her father meeting with dangerous criminals, evidence of illegal transactions, and secret recordings of conversations that sealed the truth. For the first time, the truth was out, and her father had nowhere to hide. The fallout was immediate. Her father's arrest came swiftly, the charges devastating. Her mother was taken into custody as well, though her role was less clear. Emma was left to pick up the pieces of her shattered life, her heart heavy with the weight of everything she had lost. She had destroyed her family to save them, and now she had to learn how to live with the consequences. As Emma walked away from the courthouse, her heart heavy with the weight of everything she had just revealed, the world around her felt different. The buildings, the streets, even the people seemed unfamiliar now. She had torn apart the lies that bound her family, but in doing so, she had created a void that left her questioning everything she thought she knew. Then, she heard footsteps behind her. She turned, and there, standing in the dimming light of the late afternoon, was her uncle, Thomas Hale's brother. His face was pale, his features cold. He had been absent from their lives for so long, and now he had returned with a cryptic look in his eyes. "I know what you did, Emma," he said, his voice low and ominous, "and you have no idea what you've started." Her blood ran cold. What did he mean? What did he know that no one else did? For the first time, Emma felt a deep, unsettling sense that the story was far from over. The truth she had fought so hard to expose was only the beginning. The people her father had been involved with, the secrets still buried, the danger that was far from over. It was all coming for her. As Emma took a step back, unsure of what to do next, her uncle's cold smile sent a shiver down her spine. This wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of a much darker journey. What do you think? Was Emma right to expose her father's lies, even at such a personal cost? And what about her uncle? What do you think his return means for her future? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that like button if you want more stories like this one. Stories filled with twists, suspense, and characters who are forced to confront the unthinkable. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what happens next in Emma's journey. The truth may have come out, but the real battle is just beginning.